a vitriol that's coming. There is an anger. It's not a righteous indignation. It's not a call for justice. Because, by the way, let me paint a picture of a distinction that I think is important. And I know we've gone long, but man, I hope that people make it to this point with us. It is righteous for us to desire justice and even to be agents of the Lord who seek justice, right? We are called to do justice, to love mercy, to walk humbly with our God. But God says that vengeance is his, and that he'll repay. I think there's like 2 times in scripture where the Lord tells Israel to get vengeance, right? On a specific people group, to avenge, okay? But everything else that we see in scripture is we see biblical parameters for justice. In fact, the justice it doesn't come from ourselves. Like when we are seeking justice, we are seeking what is in line with the character and the nature of God. So we wouldn't know justice apart from knowing God. Vengeance is different. It has a personal element to it. And God says that is his. It's reserved for him. So that is to say, there's been a personal offense, right? Which is why we teach our kids that, yes, when you sin against a person, you have sinned against that person, but it is a sin against that person because it's first a sin against God.
Yeah.
So there's a personal element involved in vengeance and seeking it. Okay, the Lord will avenge his name. The Lord will avenge his holiness. Those who are in rebellion against God, those who mock God, God will avenge his name, his character, all of this. But we are not called to seek that. We are called to do justice. The difference that people feel, if you look for a second and observe what's happening with Candace Owens, is that you don't feel a call for justice. You see, she wants revenge.
Yeah.
She wants vengeance. And there's a personal component to that she's masquerading as a relationship, a friendship with Charlie Kirk, but it's really not. It's for people who have hurt me, and this is an opportunity. And I'm going to tell you right now, I put Turning Point USA in that category. Turning Point USA is in the category historically of people who hurt her. And that's why she feels no hesitation in coming after them. And I don't care how much you say you love and respect and value Erica Kirk, if you are willing to tear down an organization that her husband built and now she's at the helm of, you don't love, care, and value Erica Kirk. You don't. You can't have both of those things be true at the same time.
Yeah.
Since we're like all talking about timelines and looking into, I don't know, conspiracies and maybe asking questions about people who surrounded Charlie Kirk and what their motives may have been to see him gone. Maybe we should look at other people's timelines and maybe ask questions about what their motives might be for the, collapse of TPUSA. Maybe there's a vendetta there. Maybe there's a desire for vengeance. Maybe there's a wound that never healed. We're just asking questions and we're just talking about the things that we find interesting. This is Culture Proof.
Every single stronghold, we pull them down. Yeah.
Thanks for checking out Culture Proof. I'm Miki.
And I'm Will.
And today we are, I want to say we're investigating Candace Owens's timeline. But we're really not. We're just sharing it and just asking questions. Like, you see how we can just be intellectually honest? Like, we're not investigating Candace Owens. She's not a suspect in the Charlie Kirk assassination. She just is doing very weird stuff online. And we feel like we should speak out and challenge her. And people may wonder, well, why do you feel like you have to do that? Because she made this a question of evangelicalism. She is besmirching Bible-believing Christians left and right. She's attacking evangelical pastors, calling them insincere in the pulpit, and then connecting all of that to like Charlie Kirk's murder.
Yeah.
So I feel like you made that my discussion, and I want in. So anyway, so we're gonna talk a little bit about that. We were talking yesterday on the podcast about just how she has sort of made it a sport to accuse people, kind of circle around accusing people, but never really flat out land, just enough to have like plausible deniability. I didn't say
Yeah.
that. I didn't say that. And it's problematic, the kind of things that she's engaging in. We likened it to the Salem witch trials. And so we want to continue that because there were clips that we didn't get to.
Yeah, there was a few clips we didn't get to. But like you're saying, it's kind of a bouncing around like, oh, I discovered this. And then, then it seems like there's never really a long follow through with whatever that is. And then there's something new, and it's something new. And it's like, man, wait, hold on. And I think people have to take a step back and kind of ask themselves some questions like, okay, but what happened really, with the lady who may have been with Tyler Robinson? Like, what happened? The accomplice. What happened? Like, that stuff just kind of fades away, and nobody says anything else. It's like, oh, okay.
It makes for a good one-time episode. And then you're supposed to forget that you ever heard about it, So like what happened with Caldera and like the pipes and the making of like, the pipes and all of these things and the government entities involved in that.
I mean, am I mistaken? But I kind of remember even a saying of, okay, Tyler Robinson did do it, but just it was a different gun. It's like, and now it's like, no, he didn't do it. And now is Israel. And now we found these 12 cell phone.
Yeah.
Like it seems like it's always something different. And it's like the follow through is very limited.
That's
maybe right. one and a half episode.
Yes.
And then we move on to something new that was found. It's like, wait.
It is like the game of Clue, which we actually love playing with our kids. And so it becomes a suggestion. You guys remember in the game of Clue, if you make an accusation and you're wrong, you're out of the game. But if you make a suggestion and you don't have all the pieces, somebody has to show you something in their hand to prove that your suggestion can't be, because like if you said it's Miss Scarlet with the candlestick in the conservatory, then someone in the game would have to show you that, no, actually in my hand, I have the conservatory, so it's not in the confidential pack, right? And so I feel like that's what we have to keep doing with Candace. It's like we have to keep saying, girl, first of all, stop. And like somebody needs to reveal their hand and say, okay, so it's not Mikey McCoy. I have him here. You know what I mean? And so then, but what Candace doesn't do is come back and say, okay, all right, so it's not Mikey. She just doubles down with some other reason not to like him. There are too many adjectives being used around his name.
And I was like,
why does that matter?
Why does that matter? People are describing him. It just sounds like they have a high regard for him, but it seems like that's suspicious if everyone's calling him wonderful. And I think he was in position to try to take over. Like, it's like, man, all these things. And it's kind of like, wait, how are you getting that from that? The latest thing that I was seeing was, and what I was showing you, was the old UVU soccer player, like on her.
Yes.
It's like, man, here's a clearer picture, of this guy. And the guy said, God, this is me. I went to get some food on campus. It's like,
so all of Candace Owens's kids are like 4 and under. Okay. I think, or 3 and under, something like that. Okay. And so she has not hit the teen years yet. Any parent of a teenager, when you saw that picture, you're like, yeah, teenagers wear hoodies in like 80, 90 degree weather.
Yeah, it's surprising. It's like, whoa, what are you doing?
Like,
but they do that.
They do that. And so for that to be, but what I'm saying is for that to be the thing that sparked, curiosity. I'm just asking questions. Who's this guy? Who's this guy in the hoodie looking all strange? Well, that's kind of college student dress. Like strange is like the area, the season of life that they're in, Anyway, we're going to get into it. We've got more clips that we need to get to, because what we're trying to show is just the way that Candace works through accusing people. And again, she can accuse people and without accusing them. So it just plants seeds of doubt. And so what you're then supposed to do is become suspicious of these people, and it's working. It is dividing the body of Christ. People like Mikey McCoy, people like Frank Turek are receiving threats. Seth Dillon also recently, he was on with Frank Turek, noted that somebody was actually arrested. He's married with kids. He's receiving threats because it's like, you killed Radio Raheem. And so like it's everybody's mounting up and trying to like avenge Charlie Kirk's assassination, and they're looking for the people that Candace Owens is pointing them to. And this is reckless. This is
It
reckless.
really is.
This is hurtful. It's childish. It is so immature. And but it is very sensual. People love it and they're drawn to it. So anyway, we want to show some more of these, like the accusations, like the suggestions, because she's not accusing anyone. And which, by the way, when there is pushback or when someone shows her something in their hand, like, the BB letter, it's like, okay, nope, it's not that. I have that in my hand here. Then it's sort of like, I never accused Israel. So it's like she takes back her suggestion. It's like, but you kind of did, though. Like, you kind of said he was doing the absolute most. And so, like, then when people bring the receipts, it's like, I never said that, but I'm playing what you said, but I never said that. And then she says, but I'm the honest one, the one you can trust. I don't lie. I can't stand liars. I wouldn't lie. And I feel, and I'm going to tell you something else. And then, a person who constantly has to say, I don't lie, I'm not a liar, I'm suspicious of you.
Right.
Because people who don't lie and are not liars don't have to keep saying that. It's like the person who keeps saying, I'm the boss. It's like, are you the boss? Like, why do you have to keep saying, like, it's like the insecure person. It's like, I'm in charge. I'm in charge. There's a reason that people keep saying that. And so I just think that there's a reason that Candace Owens keeps saying that she's not a liar. I don't lie. And it's like she's working overtime to get us to trust her to the extent that, like, we believe everything she says. And even if she's slightly off, then we're generous because, Candace will not lie to us. She will not fail us. Everybody else will fail, people around Charlie Kirk. And by the way, man, in another episode that we have coming up, we're going to show how she consistently misrepresents Charlie Kirk, even his legacy and who we knew him to be, those of us who observed him publicly, to exploit not only his memory, right? To gaslight us into believing that he was not the person we thought he was. So think about this. She says of Charlie Kirk that he was a type of Truman in the Truman Show. He was the only real person.
Right.
But also the character Truman was also sort of like, there was something that, as Jim Carrey portrayed this character, there was something that was a little bit buffoonish about him. Like he was like, he's got the soap and he's drawing the helmet, the astronaut helmet. So there's something that was a little bit like kind of off.
Right.
So either we believe that Charlie Kirk was a genius, that he was a brilliant man, that he was a strategic man, that he surrounded himself with people who would be able to help him achieve this call, this mission that he had, or he was Jim Carrey in the Truman Show, who stared at himself in a mirror and said, if I don't get out of this, if I don't make it out of this alive, I want you to eat me. Do you hear me? Do it. You eat. Like, so there's a little bit of a conflict there. But again, Candace Owens doesn't want you to notice that. She doesn't want you to notice that those two things can't be true at the same time. So when it serves her narrative that he was an innocent victim surrounded by all of these vultures, which she has not directly come out and said, but she is sideways saying, it includes Erica Kirk, by the way. I just need you to know, because if you say that he was the only true man in his life, then you are saying that
true. Right.
Everybody else was a lie, was a hired hand. And again, guys, these are the kinds of connections that she gets right up to making, but she just lets you go there and kind of like, I didn't say it.
Right.
It's like I led you to this and you just naturally felt that, right? That, first of all, that's cowardice, second of all, it's entertainment. But it's not to be taken seriously. So I want to say a huge thank you to the premier sponsors of the Culture Proof podcast. That's BJU Press Homeschool. They make it possible for us to educate and equip our kids at home. We do not want them to be lulled by this world. We don't want them to be drawn astray from truth by this world and everything that is being pushed out into this culture. And the best way for us to do that is to educate them at home. And I will say this again. We have been educating our kids at home for over a decade now. And it's not because of bees. It's not because of Caldera. It's not because of like school shootings. It is because we want to have the lion's share of time in our kids' lives. And so as people are investigating what's going on in the culture and how they need to respond, let me say this: secure your mask first, but then secure the mask of the person directly next to you, right? That's just like good, airline protocol, but it's also good for discipleship.
Yeah.
Know what you believe, and then also make sure that those right next to you also know what they believe and why they believe it. And I think that home discipleship, home education is the best way to accomplish that. If that's your conviction, then you need to check out our friends at bjupresshomeschool.com. That's bjupresshomeschool.com/culture-proof. When you follow that link, it'll be your way of letting them know that the Addisons sent you, and we proudly and loudly send you to our friends over at bjupresshomeschool.com. Okay, Will the Great.
Yes.
So we didn't finish our clips from yesterday. We had so
Right.
many of them. But the other thing that I wanted to do today, so help me with this, because I just get started talking. I know not only do you know that, but everybody else knows that. But I want to move through these clips because there's so much other stuff that we have to stay on top of as we push back. And I want to be very clear about this, right? Since Candace Owens is always clear about her objectives, I want to be clear about what our objectives are. We want to publicly and consistently push back against the deception and the rewiring of Christians that's coming from Candace Owens.
Yeah, definitely.
She is heavily influencing Christians. People are asking her questions about spiritual matters, and she is unqualified to respond to that. But the reason they are asking her those questions is because she is feeding them some other content that they find nourishing to their soul.
Yes. And she's weaving, the theology in it. Not only her, I see Tucker Carlson doing the same type of thing.
Yes.
Where they're weaving in theological things, to the topics that they're speaking on. And my thing is, because we've talked about this, there have been some people who have questioned their own faith and say, man, I'm looking at Catholicism now.
Yes.
Because of what you're saying about these evangelical pastors and these mega churches and these places. And so, man, we got to take a look at that and say, hold on. When you have somebody come on your program who calls, being a Protestant, to say that it's rooted in Satanism, and you don't push back and you kind of go heavy on the Catholic gang stuff, but you're also saying some things that seem plausible to people, so they're making these connections like maybe she's right about this and about that. Well, I'm here to say that, it could be that she's have some truth about this, but she's wrong about that.
And also
that is the faith.
And also to say where she is wrong and inconsistent in the areas that you value should call into question where she may be wrong and inconsistent in the other areas that you've given her space, because you said, well, she did talk about the guy taking the camera down, which, by the way, let's start with that because that's our next clip. That's the clip that we didn't get to yesterday. Remember, we're talking about the Salem witch trials or the game of Clue, whichever you like, where she's just constantly making these suggestions. Okay. But what happens, again, and want to play it and talk about it, is that she'll come back in future episodes and ask a question of something that she already gave an answer to, but just kind of hopes that we forgot that already came up, that you already said something about that. And I want to show you about, in particular, what she does with the guy who took the camera down. Okay. So this is when she first brought up the camera removal. And to be clear, please, and I have to say this because I know that the things that we leave out or that we don't comment on, it will be assumed that we haven't thought about those things. But let me just say, just because we're not commenting on every angle of the particular clip that we play does not mean that we haven't thought through where, hey, that's a legitimate question, or, hey, that is compromising a crime scene. Those things are true.
Yeah.
But I think that's what the enemy likes to traffic in. It's just enough truth to masquerade as light so that you follow. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I'm not gonna okay, here's truth. Obviously, people know where the truth is. What we want to say and where we want to shine the flashlight on is the lies and the deception. And this just makes good content-ness.
Yeah.
Okay, so here we go. This is Candace Owens again. making a suggestion. And I think at this point it is Colonel Mustard, but it's with the camera on UVU's campus. Here we go.
Why did you do this? What were you doing up there on the rocks? What's up? Like, this is not the first thing that I would do if I had just witnessed Charlie Kirk being shot. And I'll say this right now, he was extremely forthcoming. Like, as soon as I reached out, I just sent a text because I still had his number, and he was extremely forthcoming, immediately got onto the phone. And first and foremost, I should say, obviously, he's seeing all of these clips going viral, and he is fearful for his family. Doesn't have any security, and people are looking, and he said, look, as you can see in the footage, I was sitting right to the left or to the left of Charlie when Charlie got shot. And I instantly knew that he was not going to be okay. I instantly knew that he was dead. And I then, as you can see, people that are running, anybody that was in that zone, ran to the back, and he caught his breath. He wanted to check in with and communicate to other people that were working with and around Turning Point USA. That's why he's on his phone, communicating to them what had happened. That's what he told me. Then I asked, okay, well, what about this camera thing? Why would you grab the cameras? And he says, because the first thing that I thought is that I better secure the footage and be helpful and hand that footage over to the feds. Well, obviously, that's where things get into a pickle with me, because we don't trust the feds, right? I'm like, no, we don't trust the feds. So we don't got to do that. Just let me have the footage. I'm like, just send me the footage, please. Let me look at it. There's a lot of conspiracies that are floating around right now. People don't know what to believe. People are doing what I would say, credible videos. People that certainly have the credibility are ballistics experts that are saying that what we see in the front is an exit wound, not an entry wound. I don't know one way or the other because I'm not an expert. I'm getting inundated with messages from people that hunt, people that are in the military, saying that this had to have come from another direction. This footage could help. As if nothing else, let me help you. Let me formally debunk that by seeing this footage. Like, could you send this footage over to me? Well, he didn't want to send the footage over to me without checking with Turning Point lawyers. I said, look, technically, you own the footage. Like, you and some other people own the footage. Like, let me just see the footage, because why go through lawyers? Like, I just want to see the footage. And also I asked the question, why not just release it? We've already seen the worst thing that you could possibly see from the front, right? Like, the front is what is the traumatizing video. And I understand that he wants to afford his wife some protection. Like, this has, to experience that, Erica, so many people watching the love of your life in the last second of their life. It's traumatizing. I'm traumatized by it, right? That's not my husband and the father of my children.
And good. And I'm sorry.
Oh, boy.
So here's what I wanted the Culture Proof audience to hear.
Yes.
Okay. This man that she's talking about, who goes and takes down the camera, that she says she had a phone conversation with.
Mm-hmm.
Notice that she says, this man says, I was right off to Charlie Kirk's left. I saw him get shot. Like, I have to collect myself, have to regroup, reach out to Turning Point USA. Okay, what do we do? That kind of thing. But this is the same man that Candace Owens, by the way, because she's telling us that she had a conversation with him, but in a future episode, he will be the selfie guy, the guy who's recording himself saying, they shot Charlie, they killed Charlie. Like, but in that episode, she will plant these seeds of doubt in your mind. It's like, how did he know that Charlie was dead? Okay, but girl, a few episodes prior, you said he told you, I was right there. I saw the way he was shot. I knew he wouldn't make it. But either she forgets that she said that, or she doesn't care. Either way is very reckless. And again, here is the suggestion that is being made, okay? That this man is a part of the conspiracy. And again, how reckless is it to be promoting that and to be pushing that at the risk of not only his safety, but his family's safety. She can
Right.
say publicly he doesn't have any security. So now you're like saying he's a sitting duck. You're saying he doesn't have all of this. It is reckless
Yeah.
and people are consuming it and it's changing the way they think about people.
Yeah, and the thing also that sticks out to me is why does she feel like she has to have the footage?
Mm,
Like she is not an investigator, and maybe they're not going to give you the footage because there is an investigation going on
right,
of
right.
people who's going to. But she said why she don't want that because we don't trust the feds. Like we don't trust them. So it's basically give me the footage. Like
Yeah,
why?
because, clicks, because everybody's going to want to see never before seen footage. And you should give it to me because also I am a trustworthy source.
Right.
People believe me, except for the people who don't.
Right.
And except for
right.
the people who see this as a very self-interested, money-making posture.
Right.
Like that's what it appears to be. I mean, look, when and I want to be very careful, when Candace rebounded from her ouster
Mhm.
over at the Daily Wire,
Mhm.
it seemed that she was trying to get her bearings on.
Mhm.
And man, and everybody wants to be very generous with that. Like she's
Yeah.
trying to get her bearings on.
Yeah.
What kind of podcast is she going to be? There was, she kind of got into like Gossip Girl column type thing where she's talking about Taylor Swift and, Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively and all of that. And that was kind of like low ratings.
Mhm.
Like, honestly, people were just like, okay, we don't want to read Glamour or 17 magazine while listening to your podcast. So it's like, okay, it's not that, so then it's like bring back the multi-part series on Brigitte Macron. Okay, now that's a high dollar series. Okay,
Mhm.
that's a high dollar series. So we're gonna stay with that. Also, and I will even give her credit for this. I think the asking the questions and the looking into like the genealogy of even
Mhm.
Kamala Harris, I thought
Mhm.
I was fascinated by that.
Mhm.
But she's trying to figure out the type of podcaster that she's going to be. And she keeps repeatedly alluding to, I'm not political, except for when it's convenient. Like, that's fine.
Mhm.
You're trying to find your niche. But I will say this right now is sort of like the perfect combination for her. I've got 2.5 years of hands-on direct contact with Charlie Kirk that I can continue to go back to and convince people and remind people that this is personal for me, which I hope we have time because I want to get into the problem with her vendettas, right? And the biblical problem with her vendettas and what you can see actually coming from her. And you just juxtapose that to like, watching Erica Kirk sit down with Jesse Waters, like there's a difference. There's a difference there. So there you have the camera guy.
So the camera guy, was this the guy, Trevor, who later on he was
doing the selfie where he's like, they
yes,
killed
'cause
Charlie.
He went
Yes.
in on him
Yeah.
later on.
How do you know? How do you know before there's even been an announcement? How do you know that Charlie's dead? Like that wasn't even public knowledge. How do you know that? But she forgets that she previously said she talked to him and he said, I was sitting like feet away from Charlie Kirk and I saw the wound. I saw what happened to him. I knew he wouldn't survive that. But she doesn't bring that back up. It's like, man,
I think she feel like she don't have to. Like it's like on to the next one.
Well, yeah, because if you
I
don't
don't-
have to operate with integrity,
It's just I don't know if it's she forgot. I just think she kind of moves on.
that bothers me. Like, I mean, is that too much? Like, it really bothers me because I feel like what people have a right to is they have a right to integrity in the way we cover, especially substantive issues like this. Like, this is consequential. Like, this is not Blake Lively.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I feel like people have a right to a certain level of integrity when you're going to insert yourself into this space and speak on these issues. Okay, so we have the camera guy. So then the next suggestion that is made is about this Caldera Engineering valve company. So you have these valves that are being designed that are being used by the government. And again, and there's a common theme here. And I don't want to spend too much time on this because really I think it's like the bees, You know what I mean? It's like, but again, these things all become these episodes, like this sort of like, here's what I have for you today, guys. Like, but it's so immature. And what I'm hoping that people will do is be able to see through it. So here we go. We move on from the guy removing the camera and refusing to just give her the footage because she's Santa Claus. She can be trusted with it. And then it's the caldera valves, which again, you've got people feeding her information that she then like, okay, I'm just going to read this to you. So like, this was literally the episode talking about the caldera valves. Okay. And if you can, keep your eyes open for it, here we go.
Exclusively manufactured in Israel, and that they tend to be involved in this. The government and the military tend to be involved in this. And that even, by the way, on Caldera's website, they noted that they have worked in Israel. They have a map that they note every country that they have done engineering projects in. And one of them or two dots are in Israel. And somebody explained why the government gets involved when it comes to valves and piping. And I'm just going to read you this email because maybe there are people at home who are just as ignorant as I am about government level engineering. Okay.
Hold on a second. Let me just say, because that is true, because there are people at home who are just as ignorant as you are about government valves and engineering. Okay. Because that is true. You should contribute to the public things that you are well versed in. Not the things that you're like, I'm just dumb like y'all. And so this just came to me. So let's all because that is true. Like what you're saying is true. You should be careful to try to contribute to people the things that you feel like, you know what? I do have some thoughts about this. I have some insight about this. So let me contribute in that way. But like, again, it's like the lack of self-awareness in this is glaring to me because there are people who are just as ignorant as I am. Yeah. And you know what they don't do? They don't host podcasts. Like you're absolutely right. There are people who are just as ignorant as you are. And you know what they do? Like they take care of their little kids. Like they don't host podcasts. They're like, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. They dry their hands on their aprons and they get back to life. But you are just like, here are people who are just as ignorant as I am. So let me read to you an email I got. I interrupted her. I'm sorry. Here we go, Candace.
This person wrote, "Hi, Candace. I wanted to share some detailed information regarding valves, piping, and their relevance to critical infrastructure and intelligence communities. Valves as critical infrastructure assets. Modern industrial valves are used in pipelines, water treatment plants, power plants, and chemical facilities are often automated and networked, forming part of operational technology and SCADA systems. This allows remote monitoring and control of the flow of gas, oil, water, and chemicals. Cybersecurity implications. These valves are part of systems that could be targeted for cyber attacks. Compromised valves can cause pipeline ruptures, water contamination, or industrial accidents.
Do we keep going?
Because of this, intelligence and regulatory agencies, the CISA, NSA, PHMSA, FERC.
Okay, guys, I'm sorry. I can't. Like, I'm sorry.
Is she lacking on content? Like,
I don't.
What is it like? Okay.
Here. But people are like eating this up with like a big cooking spoon.
Yeah.
Like just shoveling it into their hearts and minds and becoming increasingly suspicious of everyone and everything. Now, look, I will agree that there are just some things that surround Charlie Kirk's brutal assassination, like graphic. There are some things that just don't add up. But the people who are looking at the information, the people who are privy to the facts, it's amazing to me that they are showing so much more care than she is showing, which indicates to me a lack of direct knowledge.
Well, she would say it indicates that they're trying to hide something.
Of course, because that serves every episode. Of course.
Like, why aren't they saying this and that? But my thing is, again, if there's an investigation that's going on, like, I would think there would be some things that they would not want to say or not come out and to jeopardize. But if the thinking is, well, the people who are holding this investigation are corrupt and we can't believe them. And again, we said this yesterday. We know that there's been things in our government that's
Yes.
like, man, whoa, that
100%.
was bad, or that was a cover up, you know. But man, to get to a point where you're throwing so many different people under the bus pretty much on every episode, and just kind of like, oh well, like the guy from UVU, once again, the soccer guy, they had people on that post saying, man, you better lawyer up, she's gonna destroy your life.
Man, can
Like
you
she
believe
mentioned your name,
that?
that's it. It's like, my goodness,
There-
yeah.
Well, we're here. We made it. It's fall, and you need to have already been on your supplements.
Ooh.
Listen, we have a 5-year-old.
Yes.
That little runny nose wants to get us. Okay. But the best way to make ourselves impervious to the snot fest that is the winter, the fall, and the winter weather is to be fortified with our supplements from We Heart Nutrition. All of their supplements are third-party tested, so you can know that the potency you expect is there. Look, don't be duped by these supplements that look good on your counter, but they don't do anything in your body. You want the supplements that come from the company that is Christian owned and operated, so their standard is high because they're doing it as unto the Lord, right? Check them out today. That's weheartnutrition.com. When you use that promo code CULTUREPROOF, you will save 20%. You can get your women's multivitamin, your men's multivitamin. There's even a women's multivitamin for those who are 40 and over. Maybe you need prenatal supplements, or maybe you need some hormone balance.
I didn't see anything.
Okay, I'm just making sure. All of that and so much more is available at our friends We Heart Nutrition. And as always, we have to remind you that 10% of what goes into this company comes right back out to support crisis pregnancy care centers, so you can do the most for your body and little bodies that you may never meet. And that is such a sweet deal. Check them out. That's weheartnutrition.com. Use that promo code CULTUREPROOF and save 20% off your order today. You can't have a society that survives that. That's McCarthyism, a type of McCarthyism. It's Red Scare 1 and 2. You don't have a society that survives a literal game of Clue. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a board game. That's a board game that you play with children. There's been a murder that's been committed. It's like, this is real life. And I want to move through this though, because again, we have all of these clips and they're increasing. They're more, right? I'm upset. Let me just say, I'm upset about what she's doing to Frank Turek. She doesn't know Frank Turek. Like, she's not familiar with his body of work. You understand what I'm saying? And so from her uninformed, just as ignorant as I am, perch, okay? I'm putting that in quotes. She is accusing people. And why? Like, what's the thing? I just have a hunch. What? Like, I mean, literally we'll say my spidey senses are tingling and people are like, yeah, girl, that's enough. We need to go with that.
I mean, it's like, why are there so many military people? It's
Okay, well, let's get to that.
I thought military people were appreciated, and like, I thought that was a good thing.
Yeah.
Thank you for your service.
Until you say that these people are a part of a psychological operation. And again, what has to be true for that claim to be accurate? What has to be true is that Charlie Kirk has to have been a bumbling idiot, except we know that isn't true. Except we watched him repeatedly contend for truth, battling in the marketplace for ideas with consistency and with sharpness and like mental acumen. And except now, as Candace remembers him, for the sake of her podcast, he was a little baby. He was a little baby surrounded by all of these vultures. They were vultures, you see, they were hired, all of them. And who hired? Tyler Boyer. Tyler Boyer hired the vultures. And they've been encircling him ever since. And by the way, who introduced Charlie Kirk to Erica? It's Tyler Boyd. I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying that is important. That's interesting.
Just asking questions.
Just asking questions.
Asking questions.
Guys, this is ridiculous. Like, it's got to get to a place where people say, come on now, haven't we? You got to stop. You got to stop. Find something else. Isn't there another leader of a free country that, like, you can find their genealogy for? Is there anyone else that you want to examine body parts of? Like, is there something else that you will move on to? I know that it won't be as lucrative as you call it, the Charlie Kirk story, which that's what people who feel this deeply refer to it as. I know it won't be as lucrative, but is there anything else that you could move on to? As we continue working through the Salem witch trials, the game of Clue, you find that she begins to increasingly sort of like plant these seeds of doubt about people who were close to Charlie Kirk, close to Charlie Kirk. And again, guys, this is evil. It is evil to take this man and then to rework, number one, the things that we saw publicly. So to even tell all of us, all the people who watched him engage, to say it wasn't really Charlie. It wasn't really Charlie didn't have discernment. Charlie wasn't sharp. He just didn't, he didn't have that street smarts about him. Like, so we have to dumb down what we think about Charlie to believe her narrative. And she's totally fine with that. Not even realizing that you are tarnishing a man's legacy while you're trying to seek justice for the man. Who does that? Who does that? But we're not supposed to notice that. We're supposed to be so like thirsty for the information that we just want some more, please. So here is Candace talking about Charlie Kirk being betrayed by people who were very close to him. And again, this is the hint of what is coming. This is what we're going to be focusing on. Now, not me, because I was close to him, but I remained in that category of loyalty.
Right.
But everybody else, you know, it was like the Truman Show. And again, I do have a timeline to bring in to just ask questions, you know, since we're just asking questions. Or my personal favorite of hers is that this is just interesting, isn't it? And so that's what you're doing. You're producing content that just interests people. It's just tantalizing enough that people are just like here for it.
Yeah.
So here we go. Charlie betrayed by people who are close to him. She's threading a needle here. And the question is why? Where does it ultimately go? Well, if you continue on, you'll see where it ultimately goes.
Because they view it as a charity. They're doing it because they want to purchase your voice. That's it. And I don't want to give mine up. But what these people are telling me is a very dark story that involves these donors, sponsors, influencers, a takeover of sorts that I think was happening right under Charlie's nose. And I want to say this formally as we keep investigating this. I believe that Charlie Kirk was betrayed by people who are close to him. Based on what I have seen thus far, the evidence, the quote unquote receipts that require a way deeper investigation into the apparatus, the financial apparatus at Turning Point, there was definitely some weird activity leading up to this moment happening at the organization. And I've been able to verify it. I have been given names, and I intend to now embark on this lengthier investigation, which I need more help on. I've reached out to some journalists, and I'm sharing the information with them. And I think we're going to discover that this was ugly, uglier than we could have ever imagined. Okay. There is a fear here that we are all perceiving, a desperation almost to end the investigation. The smears are becoming radical. You can't just pretend Candace hasn't spoken to Charlie Kirk in years, but they're doing it. And they're trying to be convincing and shocked and putting this out. I've never stopped talking to Charlie. I mean, yesterday I released just one of many messages that I have with Charlie, which prove that he was, in the months leading up to this, concerned about Israel and how Israel was coming after our free speech. Free speech meant a lot to him, right? This message is from May. We can pull that back